Hi everyone, I'm André Ferraz. This is Fraud in the Go. And today we're going to interview Rizwan from Rapido, a ride sharing and gig economy platform. And we're going to talk about the challenges around balancing supply and also the integrity of the platform. So, Rizwan, thanks for joining us. It's a pleasure to have you here. And I'd like to start by asking you a very broad question, which is how do you balance the supply and the supply constraints and the integrity of your platform, banning users, defining what good or bad is in terms of people abusing your policies?
See, once the identification has been done, that this captain has been involved in an activity of, defrauding the systems, getting onto my platform, or defrauding customers, then it is a easy decision to make. When it involves customers or it involves integrity where the customer is at threat. For example, a jockey captain. If we identify that the person on the ride is not the person that we had onboarded as a captain,
Hmm.
these instances are non-negotiable because it causes threat to customer security.
Hmm.
So what we do in that case is that we definitely ban the captains.
Okay.
We ban the captains. However, at the same time, because there is technology involved and the accuracy of the technology might not necessarily be 95% plus 100% plus, so what we do is that we give them an opportunity to come to our city offices, validate themselves there, and then reactivate on the platform. However, cases of asking extra money or colluding with the customer, wherein we identify that this captain might have been the customer himself in this particular ride, and which we identify through our rule based checks. You know, we take a softer view in these cases.
Hmm.
We let the captain know that we think this ride has been initiated by you and we are not going to pay you for it. And you're not supposed to do that on the platform.
Okay.
Now, at scale, when you talk about this becomes a huge problem. So, on an average day, we have about 7 to 8 lakh captains, which is zero point 0.7 to zero point 0.8 million captains on the platform every day.
Hmm.
Now, if your OCR returns or your verification returns tells me, that you have 2%, 3%, 5%, 10% of those 7 to 8 lakh people are not what they are supposed to be.
Hmm.
It becomes a very, very challenging decision for the marketplace teams to take.
Okay.
And over there, the decider is very simple. Is it a threat to the customer?
Hmm.
Would it compromise the security of the customer? Okay, if that is the case, we ban him from the platform,
Okay.
allowing him a chance to dispute my decision.
Hmm.
But if it is collusion, asking extra money,
Got it.
we try to give that money back to the customer and warn the captain for it, not
So
entirely banning
let
him.
me pause you for a second here because I wanted to expand a little bit more on the first part, which is how do you define and how which signals and which data do you use to define that this person is not really who they claim to be? Like, what exactly do you look into?
See, our onboarding processes are pretty robust,
Okay.
so the verification of the documents is being done through the government portals where we verify the Aadhaar card,
Hmm.
the driving license, and the RC, registration copy of the vehicle.
Okay.
Okay. After this is validated, we additionally take his personal identification details, and for taxation purposes, we collect his PAN card.
Hmm.
Okay. Now, even after this, what happens is that you have mule accounts in the market. India has a fairly big gig economy, and captains are used to multi-apping, wherein
Yeah.
people have access to different platforms. Now, what happens is if somebody gets banned at one platform, uh, you know, or somebody. We have a fairly large migrant population, which forms a part of your supply funnel.
Mm-hmm.
Now, people in the migrant funnel, they tend to leave in various different festival seasons, in different weather conditions back to their hometowns. When they do this, they leave their devices and their identities on the platform behind, which other people might use.
Okay.
Now, this becomes extremely risky is because we have verified a person with his documents.
Mm-hmm.
Now, if somebody else is using that account, the only way to verify it is that during the ride, we ask him to click a photograph of himself.
Okay.
Okay. Also, we ask customer for indicators.
Mm-hmm.
So we provide the customer micro feedback chips. Asking him if the rider is the same that you
Mm-hmm.
see on the app, if the vehicle number matches or not.
Okay.
So these feedback when the customer gives, so the moment I get an indicator where the customer has said a vehicle mismatch or a driver mismatch,
Okay.
immediately we shoot a verification process, an online verification process, where the captain has to click himself while being on the ride, uh, while being online, to prove that he is the same person.
Okay.
Okay, and if that fails, we immediately ban the captain from the platform.
And one follow-up question to that: when you when you see this kind of behavior, right? So an existing account that was already validated, and then someone else is using it. What is the typical behavior? Are these accounts being rented? Like, is the original owner of that account renting that and making money, having other people using it? They're just giving it away. Is this account just being shared with like friends and family, for example? Like, what is the typical situation there?
So what happens with the migrant population and with people? These people have certain places where they stay in a particular neighborhood that they would be staying.
Mm-hmm.
They would be coming in from a particular part of the country to the tier one, tier two city to earn their livelihood.
Mm-hmm.
So most likely, when they go back, they would leave their accounts with known people in the known neighborhood.
Okay,
It would generally be friends and family
I see.
that would be using the account. There is a big problem with this part. The account getting ended up with people that you have banned from the platform. So you have found a captain who is involved in collusion and you banned him.
Mm-hmm.
Now this account, which is still valid with my platform, with all documents in place, all verification in place, goes to somebody who has been removed from the platform, compromises the integrity of the platform.
Yep, got it. And one more question related to this, which is we saw across other gig economy platforms that there are usually some implications when it comes to insurance. So when an unverified like driver, for example, or captain is gets involved in a traffic accident, for example, um, from an insurance standpoint, like the premiums might be much higher, right? And the the platforms may end up having to pay a lot more for that kind of situation. Is this something that you see on your side as well? Does it has an impact on insurance?
Absolutely. So, what happens is that every single ride, the moment the ride starts on my platform till the time the ride ends, are insured on the platform.
Mm-hmm.
And these are through large insurance providers in the country. But for, God forbid, a customer is involved in a road accident,
Mm-hmm.
uh, you know, for him to be eligible to get all the claims, for Rapido to be processing those claims, we need to have the right person, the person that was supposed to be on the
Exactly.
ride to be taking that ride,
Yeah.
because that is the person who was verified on my platform. It is somebody else. We would not shy away from a responsibility towards the customer. So
Mm-hmm.
we would still end up spending whatever is spent on the accident for the customer.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, but then that goes out of the pocket because the insurance company would not go ahead and
Yeah.
honor that.
Exactly. Got it. All right. And then in terms of the ongoing verification, right? You've mentioned that you have a very robust onboarding process, right? And then if you believe that someone else might be using that account, You asked that captain to go and like take a selfie, for example. Which signals do you use to decide which people you want to re-verify during their journey on the platform? Because you also don't want to create a lot of friction, right? You don't want to be re-verifying everybody all the time.
Yeah. So we are very careful, and we take cognizance of what the customer says, So
Mm-hmm.
at different parts in the journey of a ride, a customer is asked different questions. Okay. For example, before the ride begins, we'd ask him just the moment the ride starts whether you got a helmet or not. In case of a cab, we would ask the customer, is the AC turned on or not?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, then we
Mm-hmm.
would ask the customer, if the vehicle details match or the captain details match, or we ask the customer whether you were asked for extra cash.
Mm-hmm.
All these indicators are a part of the quality matrices that I have for user experience.
Okay.
Now these are again put into a grid, basis the severity in the grid. For example, somebody says different captain has turned up. That is severity 0.
Mm-hmm.
Versus somebody saying that I was asked extra cash.
Mm-hmm.
Uh, you know, so when it is a severity 0, that captain is suspended, removed. When it is a
Okay.
severity 0, 1, 2, 3, as per the grading, somebody asking extra cash, I'll still be more tolerant, because if the customer has ended up paying extra cash, I'll definitely refund the customer,
Mm-hmm.
and then I will speak to the captain to decide what happened. Okay,
Yep.
it could have been that the customer asked the captain to go extra mile,
Mm-hmm.
and that's the reason the guy asked for extra money.
Mm-hmm.
In an ideal state in Rapido, that gets auto calculated
Mm-hmm.
in the fare. But
Yeah.
if because of any technical issues that has not happened and the captain has asked for extra cash, we let the captain go, saying that next time you have any such issues, Rapido is where you have to get in touch with, and you should not be indulging directly with the customer
Mm-hmm.
for these issues. So, basis the severity grid on the customer's feedback, we issue this next line of action. Now, somebody says that this is a different captain. Immediately, we would send the selfie verification, the OCR thing,
Okay.
to the captain as a follow up, that it has been reported you are not the one driving the bike. Please click a photograph.
Okay. So let me play this back to you and see if I got it right. So there's a reliance on the end user, on the customer side, right, on their input in regards to like what's going on with that ride, right?
Right.
Like, so if there's any kind of like policy violation, like for example asking for extra cash, the vehicle not being the same, not having the AC turned on, or being a different captain there that they're not expecting. And then you have this rank of like the severity, and depending on that, you have a different policy on how to
Correct.
react. One follow up question to that is obviously by relying on the end user, how do you incentivize the users to provide this kind of input to you? Because, for example, as an end user, usually when I get into one of these rides, I just stare at my phone and go do something else, and maybe I don't even look into the app anymore. So, is there any incentive for the end user? Is there any program to help them like share more information with the platform?
Okay. So, we pick up these signals from what the customers report
Okay.
when they connect to our contact centers.
Mm,
Okay.
mm-hmm.
And India being a huge country, you would not face, for example, an asked extra cash problem statement in a city like Delhi,
Mm-hmm.
but you would face the same problem statement in a city like Kolkata or a Guwahati, which is in the eastern part of the country.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so customer signals forms the basis of asking these questions. The micro feedback that we collect,
Okay.
we take customer VOC very very seriously. That is what molds our questions
Mm-hmm.
that we ask during different parts of the journey. And there are
Yeah.
very lot of proactive solutioning we have done because of this.
Mm-hmm.
For example, we got few cases where the riders or the drivers were rude or to extract extra money out of the customer. what they would do is that mid-ride, they would say that I can't go any further. I want to end the ride here. Okay, now it's a double whammy because the customer either has to book another bike, cab,
Yeah.
wait. It is time loss for him. When he's choosing a bike taxi, he's looking for the fastest
Yeah.
transportation solution available in a busy traffic scenario to take him from point A to point B. Now, if in that scenario, because the captain also understands there is a dependency that the customer has on him, and some of them are rogue, they end the ride midway, you know. So we picked the signal up from customer. In our journey now, we have a process where if the captain or the driver tries to rent the ride before the destination, there's a pop-up which goes to the customer. Did you want the ride to end here? If he or she says no to this question, immediately the captain is contacted and said that the customer is not requested to be dropped here. Please go ahead and complete the ride. Okay. So we actually take these feedbacks very seriously, and we monetize this, or we take advantage of these VOCs in creating predictive flows in our processes. One very common thing that you would find is, especially in a cab or a tuk-tuk, is you are very relaxed when you sit in a cab or a tuk-tuk. So what happens is you keep your phone somewhere, you keep your bag somewhere. We again got a lot of VOCs from the customers connecting with us that they left their items behind. Okay. Now we proactively, our contact center teams reached out to us saying that we get a lot of these cases. We heard them, made a change in the process. Now, before you exit a ride, okay, we ensure that we ask you or let you know to collect your belongings. Very small correction that we did, basis the VOC. It ensured that 90% of these feedback reduced. So before the ride ends, we send a buzz saying, please ensure that you have collected all your belongings before you exit the cab or the auto. So we take these feedback and VOCs very seriously. We ensure that we hear them, make the process corrections. The incentive for the customer over here is that it saves him a contact. It saves him the time taken for resolving the issues that he has highlighted if we proactively solve for it.
Okay. And wanted to ask you a bit about automation and how that process runs internally. So you mentioned the contact center, right? And there's a lot of input coming from your customers, lots of customers, right? The numbers are quite big. So how large is the contact center operation? How much automation goes into that? And how does that work internally? And which tools are you also implementing to make that process more efficient as well?
See, our contact centers or our support centers have undergone the transformation from being reactive to being predictive today.
Okay.
So what happened in earlier days is that we would react when the customer would reach out to me. Okay. And then we started studying journeys. Where in the flow is the friction happening? Is the expectation of the customer getting failed? And we started resolving that in the app itself. I'm very proud to say that we have a very lean customer service team. We have industry benchmark numbers in terms of contact ratios. Our customer contact ratios are less than 1% of the overall order that we do. Our captain contact ratios are at about 1.5% of our captain base. So our product teams have been very, very proactive in understanding journeys, taking feedback from the contact centers, and then working on automating it. And there are a lot of examples for it. And this is not just on the customer side. We treat the captain or the driver equally. One of the queries that you would get from the captains on the ground is, I'm not getting an order, or I have not received an order, or where is my order? This question that the captain is asking you has an underlying sentiment. The VOC is that I'm not getting an order. Where is the order? I'm waiting for an order. But in reality, he is anxious that he is not going to make the money that he thought out of the platform by doing a certain number of rides. In any ride hailing, this is a major query if you do not pay fixed payouts to the last mile drivers. Okay, so if they are paid basis the number of orders that they do and the kilometers that they travel, this becomes a major query. We solved it. what we did is that on his app, we started showing him real time data from which are the areas that the orders are populating from in the last 15 minutes.
Mm-hmm.
And we nudge him not to stay in a call zone, but to move to the zone where orders are getting populated. Now, this helped us improve customer experience. The riders' earnings increased.
Mm-hmm.
Also, it helped us save the contact, you know, of my agent, then reactively telling him, sir, go to this zone, you'd get orders and all that.
Yeah.
So this is one example of how we predict the problem and solve it beforehand for our captains and customers.
Great. And one thing I wanted you to share a bit is Rapido has a quite unique business model when compared to other ride sharing platforms. So um, would it be great for you to share a bit more about that and what do you think is the impact in terms of fraud and abuse because of the business model?
Okay, so a lot of these ride-hailing players, or most of them, are on commission basis for most of the businesses. You know,
Yeah.
on our platform, at least two major services and the third service. So we, which is our major service, the bike taxi business, we let the captains be their own boss. So they have an option to apply on my platform on a subscription basis.
Mm-hmm.
They have an option to apply on my platform on a zero commission basis, or they have an option to apply on my platform, or where they get surge and we charge commissions from them. So he
Mm-hmm.
selects what he wants to do. But our cab business and our auto business, tuk-tuk business, and our courier business now, all three of them are on SaaS. So we
Mm-hmm.
do not charge any commissions from the captains, nor are we the custodian of the money being exchanged. Okay,
Mm-hmm.
our job is just to bring in the captain and the customer together, where they handshake on the platform
Mm-hmm.
and they take it forward from there. Now, this presents unique cases of being defrauded, because now Rapido as a platform is not taking charge of the money being exchanged. It is a direct cash transaction happening between the customer and a captain.
Mm-hmm.
It opens up, a lot of scope of collusion happening on the platform, for example.
Mm-hmm.
Because since you do not control money, but still, if a captain is being incentivized, which we generally do not do, but then if he gets a higher payout, for example, on a long ride,
Mm-hmm.
okay, he can use the same device, and both the customer and the captain could be there at the same place.
Mm-hmm.
The
Yeah.
more he does, the more he earns, and he gets more money basis his behavior.
Mm-hmm.
But eventually, if you see, or for that matter, you ask for referrals, okay, and the captain is having a fake GPS device on his phone. He's
Mm-hmm.
referring people from where else, ensuring those he referred again go on short rides, no rides, because it is all happening at the same place.
Mm-hmm.
On the face of it, he has cloned the device. Rides are taking place,
Mm-hmm.
which in fact are not rides. And
Yep.
and basis the cancellations, you have to pay out people.
Mm-hmm.
So in a cash first market, or the change of business model that we have done, predictive identification that this customer is a threat, this captain is a threat, becomes very important
Mm-hmm.
than being reactive about it, because being reactive, we do not control a lot of stuff. So it is a direct exchange of transaction of cash between the captain and the customer.
Mm-hmm. Got it. Got it. And when it comes to the future in terms of fraud prevention and identifying like abuse, etc., like what would you say are important priorities for you going forward?
See, lot of the supply. India is a country of multi-apping, and it's
Mm-hmm.
a country of about 1.4 billion people.
Yeah.
And the more predictive you become, and the more you share the benefits of the network,
Mm-hmm.
is what would lead to the supply being safer.
Mm-hmm.
So the captains that I want to acquire are the same captains that e-commerce company wants to acquire.
Yeah.
That's the same captain that a food delivery company wants to acquire. So we
Mm-hmm.
all want to acquire the same captain. Now, in this run of ours wanting to acquire him first, a lot of times what happens, or in India, is that his behavioral issues
Mm-hmm.
or his being the right candidate to onboard, we come to know later, because his actions that he might have displayed on Rapido is not being captured at other platforms,
Mm-hmm.
or what he has done at other platforms is not being captured at Rapido. And that is where a network would greatly come into picture. One is that if you are onboarding and that this guy has apps that should not be on the phone, for
Mm-hmm.
example, an auto clicker,
Mm-hmm.
a cloning app, uh,
Yep.
you know, until unless he's a developer or something, he works in the tech or something,
Yeah.
which a lot of our captains do,
Mm-hmm.
because we have a lot of part-time captains on the
Mm-hmm.
platform. Uh, you know, so if I get to know that the device is a red flag, that is one way of identifying it. If the network sharing becomes stronger, if
Mm-hmm.
people have been red flagged as committing fraud on another platform, if I come to know, more likely or not, at some point in the journey, he might be a reformed man today, but at some point in the journey, he would try to take advantage of the system. It would be up to me either to place him on a watch list, knowing that this guy has a BC app on the phone, might
Mm-hmm.
lead to a possible fraud, or this guy in the past has committed fraud on a certain platform. If we get this information at one place, it makes a decision making on what to do with the captain a lot better.
Yeah. And on the network side, this is interesting because on one hand you have like many apps competing for the same supply, right, of captains, and on the other hand, everybody wants to know who are the bad ones, who are the ones that nobody wants to work with because they've been committing fraud, abuse, etc. um, how does that relationship work with the other players in the market? The like leveraging network effects that combine data from different sources. How do you see that, and how do you think the other players look into that as well?
See, if you talk about the industry as a whole, I think it would be taking the industry, moving it forward, because it would be, I'd be very short sighted if I say that this is a bad apple on my platform, but I'll let it be hidden from the other platform.
Mm-hmm.
It's a very short sighted view of things. Uh, how is it currently? Is that people are very skeptical about sharing data,
Mm-hmm.
whether it is my competitors in the market, or it's me who would want to share this data. But then
Mm-hmm.
I think there's some amount of work that's happening on this, where people are coming, they're looking at the larger market in itself as a whole, knowing that if there's somebody in the market who does multi-apping, is more likely to do a ride on your platform tomorrow if he's not doing it today. Till the time the market dynamics are right, you meet the captain's expectations of earnings per hour, the amount of money that he makes per kilometer.
Mm-hmm.
If he's not there today on your platform, he's more likely to come onto your platform tomorrow to experience it.
Yeah.
Okay. So that's why I said that it's a very short-sighted way of looking at things. If I don't let this information out in the market,
Mm-hmm.
I would definitely Rapido would want to take a start in this, and
Mm-hmm.
list down bad apples anywhere that people want to verify it from.
Fantastic. Yeah, yeah. This is good, and we're observing this trend of like more players. Um, I'd say being more open to sharing this kind of signal across the ecosystem. This is very important because in the end of the day, the customer, right? If they have a bad experience with one player, right, they're probably going to be more hesitant to use any other solution in the market, right? So especially when it's more related to potentially a safety related incident, right? So it's important for the whole ecosystem to present itself as like safe and secure for all the users. So
So
really
there's an
really
interesting
like
thing
that.
that we do, at least from Rapido, is that if we get whiff of a safety threat
Mm-hmm.
on social media.
Mm-hmm.
Because in social media you can actually do listening.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Now, if my competitor, or if my competitor has been tagged by a customer
Mm-hmm.
saying this captain is a red flag, we proactively take that decision. But
Okay.
having said that, if we have a structure around it,
Mm-hmm.
where people are more forthcoming in sharing this information, I think it would benefit all,
Yeah.
making the platforms more secure overall for the customers.
For sure. For sure. And going a bit deeper now on the technology, in terms of like future roadmap and new things that you want to implement, like any particular like signals and data points that you want to go deeper in your operation.
See, just like our customer support contact ratio is reducing from a 20% to a sub 1.5%
Mm-hmm.
today. We are also working on automating our supply onboarding journeys. So
Okay.
earlier we were at about 10%, 12% uh, captains getting onboarded themselves without any human intervention.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, to today that number going up to 40%. In an
Nice.
absolute mature state, we want 80% of our people to
Mm-hmm.
get onboarded and earn from the platform when they need it.
Okay.
When you are somebody who is downloading the app, or ride hailing app, wanting to become a captain on the platform, that is when your intent is the highest.
Yeah.
Today, because of our processes, and because a lot of us do not use technology to the greatest of extent, in a non so for example, I would want 100 rupees at 9 o'clock in the night. Now I know I have a bike, I have fuel in the bike. If I download the Rapido app, take a couple of rides, I would make this money. But because it is a non business hour and my verification processes are not automated,
Mm-hmm.
okay, he would have to wait next day till 10 o'clock in the morning for somebody to connect with him and activate him on the platform if somebody goes wrong in the journey
Mm-hmm.
of him onboarding himself.
Yep.
We would definitely want technology to be taking care of this problem, that during non-business hours, we have automated nudges, pushes, calls going out to this guy to ensure when his intent is the highest, we convert him then.
Mm-hmm.
We are some distance away from it. As I told you that we are at 40% auto activations. We definitely want this to go up to 80% plus. The problem is not the onboarding journey. The
Mm-hmm.
problem that is to be solved is, where are you getting your leads and registrations from?
Mm-hmm.
So organically, till the time you get it through non-human intervention processes. Okay, the conversion ratios, the sanctity of the platform is more intact than you have when you have human interventions in your onboarding journeys. For example, you work with referrals,
Mm-hmm.
you work with vendors on the ground. Now, just like, because India is a country where multi-apping is very common, people would have access to data. People who have onboarded people for other platforms,
Mm-hmm.
most likely than not, would have access to that data.
Yeah.
You know, and that is where the chances of not the right kind of leads coming onto your platform increases. And that is why being proactive about it, doing your sanity checks or having your sanity checks during the onboarding journey, whether it is a customer or a captain, I think that's the right way to go about it, which I think is a problem that in Cognia solves for a lot of people in the market.
Mm-hmm. Excellent. And you spoke a little bit about referrals, right? And that's one area in which there could be a lot of abuse as well.
It is.
Um, and the other part that I wanted to ask you about is around loyalty. Like if you have incentives for the captains that like are very active on your platform or getting good ratings, etc. Like how do you see like referral and also loyalty programs on your platform being potentially abused by the captains?
See, fortunately, two of my major services, fortunately for us, the cab services and the auto services, are on a SaaS model. So we do not
Okay.
incentivize, we do not do discounts.
Okay.
Okay. Now, then why would I be bothered by a wrong acquisition?
Mm-hmm.
Two things. I would still pay for acquisition. So
Yeah.
somebody will defraud me there.
Mm-hmm.
Second is that if it is not the right kind of acquisition that you have done, your user experience is going to suffer, is because he might be a dummy player.
Mm-hmm.
He might be a dummy
Mm-hmm.
captain. He might not be a captain at all.
Yeah.
He's getting assigned a ride which is declining, spoiling my customer experience. So not as much on the actual fraud happening on the ride
Mm-hmm.
and rider trying to extract money during the ride, after the ride, but the fraud would have happened before that. Now if I have device IDs, which tells me, that this is a red flag device, do not onboard him,
Mm-hmm.
I would save both customer experience and money by not onboarding him onto the
Mm-hmm.
platform.
Yeah, for sure. For sure. And another topic I wanted to go over with you is around GPS spoofing. So GPS spoofing is very common in the ride hailing industry, um, and we've seen this across many platforms. Behaviors like, for example, there's a lot of demand from places like airports, right? And then the captains, the drivers, they would spoof their location to make it look like they're closer to the airport.
Yeah, so that they
They
get those
get
rides.
prioritized, yeah. And then the customer requests a ride. They're not really there at the airport, right? So it takes much longer for them to get there. And then the customer experience could be very bad. Is this a concern for you at Rapido? Like, how
Uh,
how have you handled
Absolutely
this so
great
far?
that you asked this, you brought this up. So one of our major cities that we run our operations is Kolkata.
Uh-huh.
And where we faced this problem at a syndicate level, where
Mm-hmm.
about 20% of my captains, as I told you, that we are a platform where we do not incentivize, where we do not give discount.
Mm-hmm.
But because you have displayed certain good behavior on the platform, and because of the kind of vehicle that you have, we would try to prioritize
Mm-hmm.
airport rides to you.
Okay.
Now, captains were aware of this. Okay, and what they started doing is that they started GPS spoofing by showing them that they are closer to the airport to get these rides,
Mm-hmm.
and it started leading to bad experience, because the ETA of the rides was supposed to be 2 minutes, 3 minutes.
Yeah.
These captains were idly far away, and then getting into the airport to
Mm-hmm.
pick these rides, delaying the
Yeah.
time that the customer is being picked up, and spoiling the customer experience.
Mm-hmm. Got it. Yeah. And this is very dynamic. What we see on our side at Incognia is that typically, like, when you start identifying this kind of behavior and you start blocking it, then the bad actors, they would adapt very quickly and start using other techniques to spoof GPS, right? So you can use GPS spoofing apps, you can use app cloners, you can
We use
root and
auto
jailbreak the apps,
clickers.
auto clickers, and sometimes they're even like hardware based attacks, right? Like people who would have devices that allow them to spoof the GPS. So this is a very dynamic space, but I'm glad that you're
And
monitoring this kind of
what
behavior.
becomes even more challenging for a platform like us is that we have three, four, five different services, and each comes with
Hmm.
their own personas. Now,
Yeah.
for example, my bike taxi business would have a lot of part timers coming onto my business platform to earn a part time income or supplementary income than what they make over and above their main jobs.
Hmm.
Now, these people would be developers, product guys, tech guys. For them to test app, they would probably, in a certain environment, they would have GPS spoof
Hmm.
on their phones,
Hmm.
but not necessarily with the intention to defraud.
Hmm.
However, for a cab guy or an auto guy, and the genre of people there, it is something very surprising for them to have GPS spoofing apps.
Yeah.
Now, you cannot take a blanket decision
Mm-hmm.
That anybody who has a GPS spoofing app, remove him from the platform. But
Yeah.
what you could definitely do is, watch.
Mm-hmm.
Once you are aware that he has a GPS spoofing app on his phone, then watch.
Mm-hmm.
Okay,
Mm-hmm.
watch such that you could limit the damage, such that you can prevent the damage.
Yeah.
Just one example why you would not go ahead, and blindly remove anybody who has GPS spoofing app on their phone.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Totally. And on another technical topic, app cloners. We've seen in many ride hailing businesses, people using app cloners so that they can like manage multiple accounts at the same time, and they can and like accept rides faster. And many times, like if one account is being prioritized, they would use that one. If the other gets prioritized later, they would switch. Is that kind of behavior something that you see as well?
We encounter these problems, and it is just not to get access to prioritized accounts that they use cloners for, or having multiple accounts. They also use it to defraud customers. So for example, you
Yeah.
you take a ride, and you're in a hurry to get off the ride and rush to the airport or to the railway station or to your office.
Mm-hmm.
So at the end of the ride, you ask the captain, "What is the amount that I pay?" And he shows you the app,
Mm-hmm.
and you see 600 rupees. While you booked the app, you would have seen 400. And
Mm-hmm.
by the time you reach the office, that is when the cash collected message would come to you, and it would
Mm-hmm.
say 400, 450
Mm-hmm.
is what you paid. So they would match the last two digits. Okay. So for example, if it is 497, they would ask you 697. Now
Mm-hmm.
you see that message. Now you've got into your morning meetings.
Yeah.
Only later do you realize, oh, I ended up
You
paying
paid
200
more.
rupees more, but I
Yeah.
saw that on the app.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
So this is one way that they use it to defraud customers, and it's a problem that we face.
Yes. Yes, for sure. Um, Next is collusion. So talk a bit more about that. How do you see that? Which kind of collusion do you typically see on the platform, and what's the impact for the business?
See, there are few common collusion that happens, and it happens across the internet company space, whether it is food delivery, whether it
Yeah.
is quick commerce or ride hailing. We initially, when we do acquisitions, especially with customer acquisitions, for customers to use the platform or to experience the platform, there are certain discounts, or there would be seasonal offers for customers, when you would want to grow. So people taking advantage, creating multiple accounts to take
Mm-hmm.
advantage of the first time discounts or the user acquisition discounts, is very, very common. Wherever you have incentives running, whether for captains or drivers, whether it is on time based incentives,
Mm-hmm.
login based incentives, ride based incentives,
Mm-hmm.
all of this, wherever you have incentives, wherever you have discounts, wherever you have referrals, wherever you have human beings intervening to allow you to acquire your end user. These 4 or 5 cases are common for everybody in this space. The first user discounts getting misused,
Yeah.
your incentives getting misused, is common for everybody.
Yep. For sure. Yeah, and cancellations and refunds
Yeah,
and all
yeah,
of
yeah.
that. Right. Cool. Excellent. Well, I think we covered a lot of things, so I'll try to summarize a few takeaways here, and would love to close with some of your recommendations for other players in the industry. So let me see if I got things right or if I'm missing something. So the first one here is around balancing supply and protecting um, the ecosystem and the platform, right? You have to separate the different types of violations, right? In some cases, your policy would be to like just block the account right away. In others, it would be more related to like the um, prioritization
Right,
and,
right.
and and things like that. second takeaway here is related to the business model and its impact on the fraud and abuse, right? So depending on how you structure your business model, you're going to incentivize or disincentivize certain fraudulent behaviors on both sides, right? Of the writer and the customer. Interesting that you also have this approach in which it's a very customer centric type of approach on the customers are providing a lot of input and signals to you, and this is informing your strategy on how you handle these
Correct.
problems, and then your customer service team is able to act on that. There is an ongoing effort to go from a more reactive
So more.
type of approach to more proactive with more technology, more automation, right? And I'd say then finally, like some specific technical things that you've been looking into, like device IDs, GPS spoofing detection, app cloning detection, collusion detection, being part of your strategy to address these things with more automation, more scale, and more proactivity, right? Did I miss anything?
Yeah, I think overall as an industry, I think we best on summarizing how network effects would help make the place more safer for customers.
Yep.
Yeah, I think that summarizes all that we covered.
Fantastic, fantastic. Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. The network effect is a big component. So Rizwan, any recommendations for your peers in the industry on how they should think about like not only preventing fraud and abuse on the platform, but also on balancing that with supply constraints and keeping the business running.
One is that we should definitely be aware. Okay, while a lot of us, when I say us, companies like us in the market, we do a lot of reactive stuff in
Hmm.
terms of curbing, controlling, identifying fraud. But we should try, in at least be aware in the onboarding journeys. What are the red flags? You would want to act upon it basis severity grids that you have defined, which is completely all right.
Hmm.
But knowing that a red flag device or supposedly a red flag device is on my platform and keeping it under watch, looking out for what's happening on those accounts, I
Hmm.
think only makes the platform safer and helps you stopping yourself from being defrauded. At the same time, bettering your customer experience.
Hmm.
So all of us, I think, should move towards, a lot of stuff that we do are rule based, reactive stuff. We should definitely move towards, if customer safety experience and not being defrauded is on our priority list, we should definitely work towards, getting proactive indicators on are we acquiring the right kind of people
Hmm.
onto the platform.
Fantastic, awesome, really good. Well, Rizwan, thanks for joining me on this session. Really appreciate your time. I think you shared very valuable insights with the audience here. And one thing I wanted to tell the audience is if you're watching or listening to this and you are on a business that competes with Rapido, please know that Rizwan is willing to partner on sharing intelligence on a network to make the whole ecosystem um, better and safer. So this is very good and I'd say a very mature approach to be willing to collaborate with other companies in the industry. Because again, this is going to make the entire sector better, and this is going to grow the pie for everybody.
Yeah.
So this is a very very good approach.
Thank you for having me here. It was my pleasure talking to you, Andre.